So what's going on, guys? I'm Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video where today we have some big news where apparently in 2025 we are getting Advanced Warfare 2 from Sledgehammer Games. We've just had Vanguard from them, which has been a massive flop compared to how Call of Duty usually performs year in year out. Before that they did World War II, so 2 World War II games in a row, and then back in 2014 I believe it was, they released Advanced Warfare 1, but apparently for their next game, which is due to come out in 2025, although there are different opinions on this which I'll go on to explain. But yeah, Sledgehammer's next game being Advanced Warfare 2, honestly I don't really know how to feel about this. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I thought Advanced Warfare was a great game, even a good game. I'm not going to do that thing that we do every year where a new COD gets announced, or in this case leaked, and we pretend that its first iteration was good, when I can remember when it came out back in 2014, everyone was hating on the game, saying it was one of the worst CODs ever, and that it started the revolution of jetpacks in Call of Duty, because then we also had BO3 and Infinite Warfare before we had to go back to boots on the ground because everybody hated on the jetpacks in COD. I would assume if we are getting Advanced Warfare 2, that also means we are returning back to jetpacks in the future, although 2025 is still a long way to go yet. And if you are thinking, isn't it a little bit early to be talking about Advanced Warfare 2? How could anyone possibly know this information? Well, really it isn't, because Vanguard's life cycle is over. We are now moving on to Modern Warfare 2. Sledgehammer actually would have started working on Advanced Warfare 2 not too long after Vanguard came out, so it could be, as far as we know, 6 months into production right now, which means, especially with Call of Duty, because it's very difficult to keep secrets around this franchise, things will start to get leaked. We already know about Treyarch's next game coming out in 2024 and how that's been delayed, although we don't know exactly what it's going to be called. We haven't had any leaks telling us that it will be Black Ops Cold War 2, but considering that Black Ops Cold War was a reboot of the franchise, and what we saw from the Zombies mode telling us that the story will continue, it just makes sense that Treyarch's next game will be Cold War 2, and it looks like Sledgehammer's next game will be Advanced Warfare 2, which, like I said, I don't really know how to feel about this. It doesn't immediately get me excited. It's strange thinking that we're probably going to be going back to jetpacks in the future as well. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, even though I didn't like that era. I think one game that mixes it up, instead of having all three developers do a jetpack game, might be okay if just Sledgehammer does it, and then Infinity Ward and Treyarch go back to boots on the ground games. But let's just take a look at where this information comes from anyway. So Ralph Valve over on Twitter, who is a very, very credible leaker, although I will say I don't know what leak is true and what isn't. You can't be 100% right all of the time. I could be wrong in saying this, but I'm pretty sure Ralph said that Zombies Chronicles 2 was a thing, and well, we know that isn't the case. And he also said we're getting something to do with zombies in 2023. That could still be happening, we don't know, although he said that a while ago and we haven't heard anything since. Still though, he is a credible leaker, and he tweeted saying Sledgehammer Games is set to develop Advanced Warfare 2. And if we take a look at the article, which I will link down in the description, it says, as we edge further towards the launch of Modern Warfare 2 and the introduction of Call of Duty 2.0, some questions remain unanswered for the future of Call of Duty. Sledgehammer Games aims to strip away from World War shooters and instead return to the battlegrounds of the future, ushering back in an era of Advanced Warfare on the now unified IW 9.0 engine. Leading up to the release of Call of Duty Vanguard, Sledgehammer's narrative team originally had the desire to further explore their world and make several sequels involving Vanguard's cast of characters. However, with Vanguard falling short of expectations, Sledgehammer was back at square one, tasked with pitching a new idea, and trusted with having something conceptually ready for executives to give the go-ahead. Sledgehammer brought to the table the topic of Advanced Warfare, a departure from the contemporary success of boots-on-the-ground combat, back to a more fast-paced sci-fi shooter focused back on Advanced Warfare's frenzied sense of movement. Given the reception Infinite Warfare received back in 2016, it might make some franchise fans skeptical. Between the three mainline developers, they seem to have developed and separated into their own niches with settings. As Warzone continues to age, so do strategies for bringing on fresh experiences to the playground, which could include their own futuristic twist on the Battle Royale formula. Sledgehammer's sequel to Advanced Warfare has been slated to release for 2025, only 1 year after Treyarch's premium title. So there we go, and since then we have had a couple of other leakers come out and confirm this as well. The Ghost of Hope, he said, I can confirm this is true from what I've heard. There was also an article from Insider Gaming, or Tom Henderson, where they pretty much said, although they can't confirm these claims, it does make logical sense considering the disappointment of Call of Duty Vanguard. You can tell from Vanguard's story, Sledgehammer originally, following that game, were going to make Call of Duty Vanguard 2, but seeing the downfall, the hatred it got, I was going to say not all necessarily Sledgehammer's fault, but It kind of is, because they did have the full 3-year development cycle to make that game, unlike Treyarch and a lot of their games recently, where they haven't had the full amount of time. Sledgehammer did, so really there's no excuse, just in my mind, for it to have been as bad as it was. I don't think the campaign was particularly brilliant, neither was the multiplayer, so for me at least, there's no excuse from Sledgehammer. It should have been a lot better. They were originally going to make a Vanguard 2, but obviously, seeing what's happened to that game, it just wouldn't make sense to do it. Activision probably wouldn't have signed off on it. So what Sledgehammer have done is gone back to the drawing board and rethought their strategy. They've had to rethink what game they're going to be making in 2025, because they would have had to start making it already. And the game that they've decided to make is Advanced Warfare 2. I find that one a little bit strange, because although Advanced Warfare 2 did pretty good in sales, the reception it got wasn't too great. And although, yes, years later we might all say, oh, I'd be up for that again. I love an Advanced Warfare 2. When it comes to it, in a few years' time, I don't think people will be saying the same thing, or when it releases. I can predict what the reception is going to be, but I don't think it's the worst thing either. Honestly, I would have preferred a new title. The one thing that Sledgehammer haven't done yet is a modern day shooter. They've done the World War II games, which have all been pretty bad. They've done the futuristic one, which was just okay. They haven't done a modern day setting yet. I would have preferred a new title, but apparently we're getting Advanced Warfare 2. The campaign in the original one I thought was actually pretty good with Kevin Spit. The multiplayer was okay, not brilliant. The zombies was, again, okay, not amazing. Just talking from a zombies point of view, if the game does include jetpacks and then we have jetpacks back in zombies, I don't know how I feel about that, because I wasn't a big fan of that style of movement in that mode, but a lot of it also comes down to maps and story and Easter eggs. There's a lot more involved in zombies than just the movement, but that does have a big role to play in it. I think for a zombies game mode, I'd much prefer a boots on the ground. But then again, even Black Ops 3, where the multiplayer and the campaign had jetpacks, or boost jumping, the zombies didn't, so that could be the same for Advanced Warfare. If we do get jetpacks again, that doesn't necessarily mean that the zombies mode will, and that's also assuming that it will have a zombies mode, which I think it will. Sledgehammer did zombies for the original, they also did zombies for World War II, they were also going to do zombies for Vanguard, but Treyarch did it for that mode instead. So because their third modes have only ever been zombies, I would assume that Advanced Warfare 2 wouldn't be any different. So yeah, because 2025 is a long way to go, I don't really have a problem with this now, and maybe by that time, after we've had a few more CODs and we've complained a bit more, going back to the future with potentially jetpacks might not be too bad of an idea if it's just for one game. And the only other thing I will say is, even though Ralph said it's due to come out in 2025, Charlie Intel said there's an unverified rumour that Advanced Warfare from Sledgehammer is due to come out in 2025. We cannot confirm this at all. And it also seems unlikely that Activision won't give Treyarch's 2024 game a 2-year cycle. And the Ghost of Hope also said to this, I will say I have heard and can corroborate that Sledgehammer Games is working on a successor to Advanced Warfare. Also, as far as I'm aware, Treyarch are getting a 2-year cycle on their game. So I disagree with the part of the leak from Ralph, given what I've heard. So we've got Ralph saying the game will come out in 2025, but then other people saying that potentially when Treyarch's game comes out in 2024, just like Modern Warfare 2, that will get a 2-year cycle, meaning we won't get a premium title from COD in 2025, which would mean that Sledgehammer's game actually comes out in 2026. So we've got some people saying that Sledgehammer's game is coming out in 2025, and some people saying that actually it's coming out in 2026 because Treyarch's game will get a 2-year cycle instead of a 1. I really don't know. Will that be the staple for Call of Duty going forward? Will we get a COD every 2 years from now on instead of every 1 year? Or is it just an exception with Modern Warfare 2 where this game will get a 2-year and then after that we're going back to the 1-year cycle? I don't know, but the thing we can all seem to agree on is it will be Advanced Warfare 2. Sledgehammer would have already started to have making it very early on in the development cycle. Things of course could change. They could get scrapped, we could get something totally different, but for now at least, it looks like that's what we're getting. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.